Good morning and welcome back to the Faith and Formation podcast. It is Friday, January 23rd, and we're in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 this morning. Thanks for jumping on and being with us here today. Brother Sam is with us again. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, doing great.
Good to have you here on this Friday morning. And I hear that today is Jokes of the Day.
I do. I have a little bit of a treat. I'm not going to give it away just yet. We'll let you get through your... not exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, that's coming up soon. But this morning, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, devotional entitled Grace to Grow. Before we get there, let's look at our memory verse for the day, which comes from John 8 and verse 36. It says there, "If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed." John 8, verse 36. All right, our devotional does come from 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 10. It says there, "But by the grace of God I am what I am, and his grace which was bestowed upon me was not in vain. But I labored more abundantly than they all, yet not I, but the grace of God which was with me." Devotional this morning entitled Grace to Grow. Brother Sam, before we hit this, it's joke time?
Yes.
It's joke time. Let's do it.
All right. So, slight difference today. Normally I go through like a couple quick ones. I've actually got a story for you today. It's a little dark, little morbid. Not too morbid. I don't want the parents to have to think like, oh, do we have to stop turning this off? No, it's not like that.
Of course.
But here, thought it was appropriate for this weekend with everything coming up. So, a blizzard hit a remote prison way up in the mountains, and the faculty were all evacuated, but there was no time to save all the inmates. After the weather calmed down, the roads were snowed over, and it would be impassable until a thaw came in the springtime. So this is a long period of time that was going to pass. Rescuers were flown in to find the inmates, and they found out that they had all perished due to the unbearable cold. It seemed that the only thing left to do was remove the bodies to give closure to the families of those involved. It would be a great expense to clear the roads, and could the deceased prisoners be able to be flown out? They were trying to, figure out which was the better option. Sure. And when they interviewed afterwards, the head coordinator was asked about the logistics of the operation. And after considering all options, the choice was made to airlift the bodies after weighing the pros and cons.
Okay, I actually really like that. That's really good. I like that a lot.
I'm glad you approve. I was looking through some, and I glanced at it, and I actually came across the punchline first. I was like, "Oh, I've got to read the full thing," and
that's really good.
So,
it's so amazing to me that somebody would take the time to just flesh out that whole story.
I guarantee you, somebody just literally had the idea, like, "Oh, pros and cons sounds like pros and cons," and then was like, "Let me spend 30 minutes and build a story around this."
It's so funny that someone comes up with that.
So.
But
there
hey,
you go.
we get to benefit from it.
Yes, we do.
That was fun.
Please do not end up like a frozen con this weekend. Be warm, be safe, stay inside your houses.
Yes, please. Whether we get 6 inches or 26.
Yeah, we'll
be careful out there.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, who knows? But it's going to be.
It will be
going to be a lot of snow either way.
Yeah, it'll be an exciting time, hopefully in a good way.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what we're praying.
So yes, Brother Andrew just read the verse for today, which is 1 Corinthians 15:10. I'm going to go ahead and read it again just to get our mind back on spiritual things.
Makes sense.
"But by the grace of God I am what I am, and his grace which was bestowed upon me was not in vain. But I labored more abundantly than they all, yet not I, but the grace of God which was with me." Okay, so this is Paul speaking, and this is knowing the backstory of Paul and his life. And brother, for the teens that are in our youth group, you might recall that some of it sounds very familiar because Brother Andrew just preached about this on Wednesday night this week. But basically, just a recap of Paul's life, he was persecuting Christians, and not just like, verbally assaulting them, like, "I hate Christians," whatever. Like, no, he was killing them.
Yeah.
Right. And God, for whatever reason, and this is where God's grace comes in, decided to give Paul basically a second chance. And, the whole story that we know with Paul being blinded and the scales on his eyes and Paul's heart. Paul had a fork in the road there where he
Yeah.
could have continued to reject God, but his heart was softened and he decided at that moment to turn and follow Christ. Um, but what caused God, you think about it, it's like what caused God to, you know, give Paul a second chance? God's grace. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you look at Paul, you look at anybody else in the Bible that had multiple second chances, Peter, even Samson, right? Or even look at your own life. I can look at my life and think, how in the world am I still alive?
Yeah, right.
When if I was in the place of God and looking at a version of myself that was, who I am today, right? Like
Right.
I would have, you know, called myself to heaven way long ago saying this guy's a failure, right?
Right. Right.
And that's where it is really hard. What is the verse? You can probably help me fill it in, but basically talking about to know that, oh, who knows the depth and riches of the wisdom and knowledge of God.
Oh, right. Right.
Basically, like we don't know how deep basically the attributes of God go. And I don't think we'll really even know that until we get to heaven. But
Yeah,
God's
I agree.
grace is something that is so deep and overflowing. And I can see that just in my own life with the blessings that He's given me, um, where people use the phrase, well, but by the grace of God, there I go, or but by the grace of God, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I feel like sometimes people throw that phrase around a little bit and might not be really 100% meaning everything that of what is actually behind that. But um,
Hmm.
yeah, it is really humbling, honestly, when you think about it, of how much who we are compared to God and what God has done for us and salvation alone,
Yeah.
right? Um, There's a
Yeah. So true.
there's a song that has been sung in our church a couple of times, um, that was basically there's a phrase in it that said, "Any doubt that He loved me was settled at the cross."
Yeah.
And basically in that song it talks about what if God, never did anything else good for me, quote
Yeah.
unquote, the rest of my life,
Yeah.
it would still everything that God did with giving us salvation would prove above and beyond that He still loved us, even if that was the only thing that God did.
Yeah.
If there was no other relationship that He had, if there was no blessings that He gave, salvation alone would show just how much mercy and grace He has.
Yeah.
And yet, praise the Lord, yes, He did that, but He also wants to have a relationship with us and give us the things that we desire,
Yeah.
right? Um, and I can think in my life of the things that God has given me that I 100% don't deserve, and some things I could only wish for and dream for, and then I think just our human flesh and our weakness, we concentrate not on what God has given us and the graciousness that He's extended, but
So
oh
true.
well, why hasn't God done this, or why I've
Yeah.
just asked Him for this and God hasn't pulled through for me on this, and I'm preaching to myself here when I say that because I go through this literally every day, every week,
Yeah.
and then realize, okay, well, how prideful are you to be asking God, why aren't you doing this when you can literally turn around and look at everything that He's already done in your life where He's blessed you?
Yeah. That's so, so true. I was thinking about that song. I think I remember some of the words. Goes, and if you never spoke another word of blessing,
Hmm.
if your silence fills me with a sense of loss, um, I'll remember when my heart begins to question any doubt that you love me was settled at the cross.
Right.
That's how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good song, and I think a great correlation to this devotional. Um, Understanding really that by God's grace, anything that we are, exists even.
Right.
And it is such human nature to find to nitpick the little negative things, um, and to not be grateful and to be thankful and to realize the richness of His grace. And you read in books like Psalms and Proverbs where His grace is talked about a lot.
Hmm.
And if we're not careful in reading that, we kind of get used to the word. The word shows up many, many times, and we kind of get used to it, and we just continue to read. not understanding that it's mentioned so many times because of how important it really is. And the psalmist, David and Solomon and such, they found or they knew and understood how precious that grace was. Perhaps the most popular hymn ever written.
Yeah.
It's called Amazing Grace,
Right.
and where would we be without His grace? A terrible place.
Yeah.
That's all I can say is a terrible, terrible place. And as the title of our devotional says, He gives us grace even to grow. He gave us grace at the cross. He gave us grace for salvation, to be born in the place that we're born, but then also even to grow, to move past and to be better than what we are now.
Hmm.
Um, what a blessing. you just, you cannot discount, you cannot put a high enough price on the grace of God. You really can't. And like I mentioned in the sermon a couple days ago, it's so so good to just meditate on that for a while.
Yeah.
Just to take a minute, kind of calm down for a second, and to think about all that God has given, the grace that He has bestowed upon all of us.
Yeah,
Um,
I was just gonna say in a second, Brother Andrew's gonna go over what we're going to, who the team of the day is that we're praying for and what to pray for today. I would add to that, just thank God for who He is and His graciousness towards us.
yeah,
That's one thing I'm gonna try to really meditate on today. And it's just being human. It's so easy that we get busy in our lives and forget, but that's something that we really need to just every morning when we wake up, just say, God, thank you for who you are and thank you for your grace and
yeah.
mercy. Because without that, we
Who knows?
where could we be?
Yeah, who knows? And I think sort of maybe a last comment here is that it changes your perspective.
Yeah.
If I start my day thinking about all the good things God has given to me, all the grace He's shown to me, I'm going to be a whole lot more thankful throughout the day. I'm going to be a lot more joyful, realizing how rich I really am from all of God's blessing. It's going to totally start my day in a different direction.
Mhm.
I'm not going to be as negative. I'm not going to be finding all the faults of things. I'm going to be in that thankful, cheerful attitude and spirit. This reminds me of my grandfather. I'm sure he still does it as well, but I remember a lot growing up when I saw him. He would ask me this phrase just randomly throughout days here and there. He would say, "You got the victory?" He would just say that. And sometimes you're like, "Yeah, grandpa, things are good." And sometimes you'd think in the back of your head, like, "Why did he have to ask me that right now? Obviously, I'm not doing well. Why do you have to ask me?" But I think it speaks to that, spirit and attitude that you can have throughout your day, understanding how good God has been to you. You can live in the perspective of victory, knowing that you have that grace of God, on your side
Yeah.
and with you. So, yeah, what a wonderful thing and a truly massive blessing to meditate on, the grace of God. All right, well, I hope that that devotional was a blessing to you. It was a blessing to me just talking about it
Yeah.
this morning, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well. Well, as we go to prayer this morning, we want to spend some extra time praying about our church. Um, whatever aspect you want to pray about it for, pray about your church, the ministries, the staff, the pastor, the fellow church members, all those things. Mention your church specifically in prayer this morning. And then for our teens, we want to keep Ariana in prayer as well. All right, thank you again to all of our listeners. One thing I'll remind you of is we do have a comment section below. If you want to use that to respond to something, let us know if something spoke to you, if there's something that you thought, really struck you and that you enjoyed, that you like to hear, that affected you, and anything you want to put down there. Go ahead and do that. We do like to see your comments, and it encourages us as well. So use that if you'd like. And again, thank you for all for listening here this morning, and we'll see you next time.